Wait, which one is this again?
Welcome to another episode of AnecDotes. Which one is this again? Asks Kyle. I am Sheever, and we are going to talk about things to do,
Stuff.
activities to do with friends.
Okay.
And clarifying adult friends.
Adult friends.
As in...
And to clarify, we're trying to avoid go to the bar and get drinks with friends, because that's the easy way out.
Non-alcoholic options.
Yes.
Perhaps. You know, we're not students anymore.
Yeah.
We sometimes try to live healthy lives. And, you know, it's nice to do stuff with other people and with adult friends as well, but you want something more than just, you know, joining each other for tea or coffee. You know, that is, because that's the standard, right? Someone's going to come over, great. What do? You just drink some coffee, eat something if you want, and then it's done. Well, but you want to actually do something.
The other thing we're trying to avoid is stuff that requires you to spend money, like a decent amount. Because I always feel like it's very easy to do things that are quote unquote fun if you're willing to go spend $30 to $40 for the privilege, right?
Any workshop.
It's not hard, to do a workshop, to do I don't know, to like go to the aquarium or use, you know, it's
we don't want to be a tourist in your own town, which by the way you should definitely do sometimes. That is something to do. Just think, if you were to have an international guest and someone asking you like, hey, what should we do in your hometown if we want to experience it? Think about what you would do, what you would suggest someone else to do, and then do it yourself. Because that is always something fun. But that might sometimes cost money, so we want to be a little bit more specific. And I have one. You want to play board games. I like board games. I mean, you can't always go outside. You got to do something inside. You can't always watch a movie, because then watching a movie, I really enjoy it. But if you're going to a movie with friends that you rarely see, you're not really seeing your friends. Because you're just watching a movie, and then it's like bye afterwards, and didn't. I
really like that. I also like doing puzzles. We did that at MDL. That was a ton of fun. Doing puzzles, like literal puzzles, like putting them together, or crossword puzzles are fun. There's a lot of little cheap books you can get with a bunch of challenges, similar to Sudoku, but I'm not really a fan of that. I like
Sudoku.
I like crosswords a lot because they can be more interactive, and different people will know different things.
I like Picross as well.
Yeah. I think doing work together, I always felt like it's way more fun to do projects with friends, like cleaning, even gardening, any sort of home makeover type stuff. I always think it works as a great date idea too. If I go out with someone and,
Oh, hey,
what?
If you ever have a Tinder date in the Netherlands, you are more than welcome to tidy up our garden and to take care of our bushes outside.
As exciting as that offer sounds, and I really do appreciate it, Chiefs, I think that would be more of a fun activity for the homeowners.
Oh.
For you and Owen to really get in there, put on your overalls and just get into
cutting.
that. Looks like a blast. I wouldn't want to take that away from you guys.
Oh, well, it's very generous of you. Thank you for being so considerate.
Yeah, well, where I was going with that was thrift stores.
Oh, yeah.
Love thrift stores. I think it's also fun to just do.
Adding footnote, it's very American. Not every city has thrift stores.
Pretty much every city has a thrift store or second. What I mean by that, folks, is like a secondhand clothing store. Antique shops in Europe seem to have like replaced thrift stores for you guys, where often they'll just be like, knickknacks. There's just stuff. And it's cool because I always get stressed out, like shopping online specifically, but in stores, because you're like, okay, so here are your options. And the number of items is high, but the actual choices are low, but they're all like very similar, right? It's not just a pair of pants. It's like, hey, look, it's this pair of pants in 4 different slightly varied styles and 20 different colors. Pick your favorite. I can't ever do that. Thrift stores are nice because there's 1 or 2 things. You hope it fits. If it fits, great. You found it. It's unique. I got a lot of really cool t-shirts. I found like my pea coat at one. Just tons of random stuff. And it's fun to do with friends, by yourself, or with a date, because you also like get a little insight into each other's personality. Plus, it's cheap.
Well, you're shouting.
Value, yeah.
You get very
I got all American all of a sudden.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
But that requires you to go outside. I like the puzzle one. I actually the puzzle, like the actual, I don't know, 1,000 pieces puzzles. You know, it takes a little while. I like those a lot, but I think the crossword thing, that requires you to interact more.
It's true.
Like if you're thinking about it, it requires you to think out loud because together you're finding an answer. Normally, it's a language-related, a crossword puzzle, language-related one. So you think about it and you brainstorm about it, and I think that is equivalent of a those don't sting.
Are you sure?
100%.
Okay, I hope not. It looks pretty stingy for me.
No.
To expand upon puzzles, a lot of the Dota crews and Counter-Strikes, everybody's into escape rooms now. Those are a lot of fun. In fact, I want to start an escape room, to be honest. And I also don't think we should gloss over having tea together, because I think that like the old school British way of doing tea, I think the Dutch do it as well.
The high tea one.
The high tea.
Okay, well that
you don't
is
have to do it
effort.
at someone's house. No, you can just do it at your own place and just make tea. I'm saying just make tea and chat about things. Make a club to discuss something. Whatever clubs do.
But then what kind of clubs? You are constantly talking about a book club.
Yeah, but that's a lot of work. I should. That's all I got. Hey, what else? What else?
You can. Well, if you want a tea club and it's just you want to have more to talk about than just what you did at work the week before or something, or the day before, then you can. In advance, if your friends are up for it, because I do think that it's something that you need people to be on board with. It's like, hey, let's talk about, and then select a topic. I don't know. It can always be about some news thing, or maybe you have something that you want to share.
I think there's a lot to be done for like physical activities together and exploring. Like, rock climbing is another thing that Dota people like to do at times. Hiking, walking.
I'm about the hiking life or walking life, and I think that is, for our lifestyle, walking is actually really nice, I think, because when you're going to a different city, you're hitting so many different spots at once by just walking. Is you're exploring the city that you've never been in, which is very likely. You're getting your physical activity. You might find some nice niche food places that you otherwise would have just found online, of course, as well, but this is, more exciting. And I also like that if you do go out for food somewhere, walk there rather than taking the car, because the walk itself is a nice experience too, especially if you're in a town or city that you're normally not at.
Yeah.
But we did start this by trying to talk about things to do with adults, and it feels like difficult. Yeah, because it feels like we don't want to spend money. Let's do that as a baseline, or not too much money, I guess. Do we want to leave the house?
No, please, no. I mean, technically, yes. That's the thing. The hard part, I think, for me as well. Like, it's easy to entertain yourself with the internet.
Yes.
How do you do that without the internet? And there's a lot of. I think it just comes down to games, to things that are physically challenging or mentally challenging. Because we're adults, right? We want to be stimulated in some way.
Yeah. And
we all have major dopamine production issues because we get so much of it by just checking out our screens and doing the social media swap-a-roos until you're bored, you put your phone down, you pick it up and do it again.
Yeah.
So we need to escape that feedback loop. It's mental masturbation because it doesn't actually satisfy you. It's just like it's just sad. It's like there's an urge for entertainment and you're like, "Oh, yes. There it is." But it doesn't actually give it to you, and it doesn't feel fulfilling at the end.
And I think that's why we choose puzzles as a nice option, because that is something that stimulates your mind and tries to, you're actively using your brain to try and solve problems. Escape rooms, same story. Escape rooms are generally expensive.
Yeah, it's true. And just to note real fast, a lot of the people, I think it feels like maybe you're not doing enough, right? Because Instagram and Twitter are going to be full of these people that are constantly photographing themselves doing things, right?
Yes.
But you know what's crazy is that a lot of times what actually motivates people to do things is the need to make content out of it.
Yes.
And there's a park in Hawaii that recently had to institute like a no phones policy on this specific hike because it was being overrun by influencers. Not influencers, but everyone was like going up to this very specific scenic overlook so they could take selfies and photos of each other doing so. And I actually think that that's not the right way if you're listening to try and get yourself motivated to do more things.
Rather, you don't have to prove to other people that you're active.
But you can plan in a sense like, make like a scrapbook. Don't put it on the internet necessarily. But motivate yourself to do new things with the idea that you're going to like, it's like an achievement, right? Go unlock achievements. I don't know what those are for you necessarily, but.
Now here comes the problem, because for us, we have a, an online persona presence type of thing scenario going on, and I kind of feel like sometimes I need to take those pictures. I do all those things. I go on hikes and whatnot, and sometimes I'm like, oh darn it, I should have taken pictures. I should have taken more pictures of, like for example, we had a London trip not too long ago, and I don't think. Like, I kind of mentally at first thought, this is a holiday, I'm putting the phone away. But on hindsight, I wish I had pictures.
Yeah.
But nobody took pictures of the people. We took pictures of the food. And there's the one picture with the 4 of you guys. And there's one picture that Dove took at the start with their selfie camera, and I never saw that one. But that's kind of it. We didn't ask anybody to take pictures of us, which, I miss that. Not just for the socials, but there's a balance to be had, I guess. But at the same time, you don't have to actively not take pictures.
Yeah, and I think another thing to note is that if you're going to take photos, I don't think it's the experience. It's not what you're doing that matters at the end of the day. It's the people you're doing it with. There's an excellent Maya Angelou line, or poem. Well, it's part of a poem, but people won't remember what you said, they won't remember what you did, but they'll remember how you made them feel. Yes. And I think that that's something to really keep in mind whenever you're doing stuff, which is that at the end of the day, the activity means nothing if the people that you're going with are the sort that you want to be around. And if you don't feel, I think that good friends, and not saying it's easy to have any of them, folks, because I didn't really have friends for a really long time in my life, and I know what it's like. But if you get good friends, it'll be just as much fun to hang out with them at the kitchen table, shooting paper airplanes at each other, as it would be on some beach in Ibiza, sipping cocktails and discussing how dope your outfits are. It really just comes down to who you surround yourself with, and that doesn't mean my best kind of friend is not the same as your best kind of friend. So
it's true.
And if you don't have friends, well, that's actually a subject for another time.
Yes. That is a subject for another time, and we will talk about that, because that is big. We'll talk about it another time. All right, I do want to still point out regarding this one, and I had it on my mind. Oh yeah, how we said that you don't want to do everything with your phone and stuff. There are a couple of activities that you can do that have your phone in it. You can do geocaching, where you go on walks and find stuff that people put away, and yeah, you might get a little bag of shit. Literally, that's stuff that people put on there too. But it's a nice activity to do. Pokemon Go was actually really good for that, especially when it first came out. You saw everybody going outside for stuff like that, and sure, you now have your little watch thing that can do stuff automatically for you, which makes it, for me, a little bit, it's just not as good. But at the same time, you do track your progress. I have a smartwatch. You can do challenges. You can challenge your friends on walks and things as well. So you can get active that way if you're wanting to specifically have the active things. But there's also there's werewolves on an app that you can just put your phone there, and you have to don't have to put you don't have to have all the cards and people helping out. You just have the phone there, and it mods a game for you.
Those are the best. That's another thing to bring up, is like Mafia and Werewolf. Those are just really fun games. They're not technically board games. There's the one that you play where it's in Inglourious Bastards, where you have the name on your forehead and you've got to guess who it is by asking yes or no questions. I really like that.
Oh, there's another one where
karaoke as well.
Karaoke is another one, which, by the way, you don't need to go to a karaoke store if you don't have one near you. You can just put on YouTube and sing that way. Although personally, I do like karaoke more when I have had a little bit of alcohol.
That is true.
But a game with notes is you're having a group of people. Again, you need a group of people, but sure, you have a group of people. You can be 3 or more. I think that it's that. So, but let's say you're 5. Every person puts in 3 names of someone that they think they all know. It can be family members that people know, or friends, or famous people, presidents, whatever. And then the first round, you describe that, everybody, you have 2 groups of 2. If you have 6 people anyway, you do it in teams. I guess 6 is the minimum then, because otherwise you don't have a team. So 6 people is the minimum. You have 3 groups of 2, and you can do 4 if you have 2 groups of 2.
True.
Math. But then one person describes to the other without saying their name, and then everybody guesses. So then it kind of at the end of the round, everybody knows which names are in there. Then the second round is everybody gets, you do charades. And then the third round is you only get to say one word, and then people should know who it is. And by that time, obviously, everybody knows which players are in there, so it is actually doable with one word, and otherwise it wouldn't be. But it's actually really funny because during the game, two people might have wrote down Obama or something, and people will then just, find different ways to describe it because it's two ways, but then someone might do something stupid that then gets turned into a word later, and then, it's nice. It's a fun game to do, trust me. Which one do you want to say?
Oh,
I thought of one.
I was just going to say that I think if you, we obviously tried like cheap, alcohol-free ways of having fun, but there's a lot of things that are fun. I like my favorite drinking game is 21, which is another one that I like just because you can play without drinking too. It's just all in your head in a sense, where the goal of the game is to sit around a circle and count to 21. And the moment you make it to 21, the person that does so gets to make a rule. So an easy one that you start with is like 7 is 11, 11 is 7. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11, 8, 9, 10, 7, 12, 13, 14, and it continues. Then there's ways you can say, okay, 3 and 13 are now words they have to rhyme. So if the guy at 3 says brain, the guy at 13 has to say train or rain or something along that one. And you can't repeat them. Okay, you can never repeat a rhyme. If you do, you call them out. It's a lot of fun, and I guess the point kind of comes back to, whatever it is you're going to do on your weekend, whether you're drinking or not drinking, whatever, have fun. Don't make your activity just drinking. That didn't add. I don't know where it was going with this.
All of a sudden it's about drinking games.
Well,
there's a lot of drinking games. I don't think anybody needs specifically help to try out new different
But play
games.
that
But
one.
If you do,
that's the one that's fun.
There's also loads of stuff on the internet, so I'm sure you can find some there. Like you can do, I don't know. I know all the Dutch names. You can do a Kingson with kings.
Oh, King's Cup?
King's Cup.
Everyone does King's Cup.
And then you can do, in Dutch it's called juffen, where you basically, you count up, and then every 7, you have to say juf instead of anything else. And then every 11, you also have to say juf. And then it's every table of 7 and every double digits. But then when you say juf, you also go the other way around. You go around the table. This is what you do when you have a lot of people. And you have to be very fast. And obviously when you miss out, you gotta drink. And it's surprisingly, that goes wrong very often. I'm obviously saying also this goes hand in hand with alcohol consumption, and the game doesn't get easier as time goes by.
Yeah.
Anyway.
This sounds like that famous Icelandic drinking game called Slaps, where you stand across from someone and slap them in the face as hard as you can, and then they do the same. And the first person that says, no, please, I don't want to slap, well, they have to drink.
That doesn't seem like much of a fun game at all.
Yeah, it's not played outside of Iceland, unsurprisingly.
I wonder why. All right, that was it for this one, I think. we'll talk about having friends and making friends as well in the next one. So thank you for listening to another episode of AnecDotes. It was a little odd one maybe compared to our normal topics.
I think we lost half of our 10 listeners.
Yeah, I think
somewhere around 13 minutes.
Sorry, guys. Promise, the next one will be better.
Well, no, it was great. It was great. No reshoots, no retakes.
I mean, no retakes. It's all, otherwise, my editing skills are very limited, and my time is also very limited.
Very valuable
very
as well.
Valuable.
You know what? Sheeves actually charges me more than my rate to edit this podcast.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, I gotta pay you for the rate. You get to pay it right back.
Yeah.
It's for me to edit it, which is why we don't pay each other, because it evens out. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.